If I had to choose just one topic that I get more questions about from my clients than any other topic, it's about the idea of getting along with our boss, them getting along with their boss. It's just difficult to know if our boss is really out to get us or something else is at play. And for some people, for most people, let's go ahead and say most, not only is it hard to tell, the boss's behavior sure does look a lot like they're out to get us. Or at the very least, if not get us, actively choose to not help us. So how do we know? How can we know if our boss is out to get us? Because the sooner we know that, of course, the better. Stay tuned and I'll tell you how. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. I don't know why I just bugged my eyes out when I said this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching, but I'm excited about this topic. I have some clients whose boss so mistreated them, they have a form of PTSD now. It can happen to all of us. I've had some very rough goes with a handful of bosses. One who basically told me, hey, stay in your role for 6 months. I'm going to start you out at this low pay, but you do good, and I'm going to give you a really great pay. And I crushed it. And she said, no, I never said that. I'm like, okay. So how do we know? First of all, there's a really great saying known as Hansons Razor. I really want to get into the history of it, but I'm not. But it basically says, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. I think this is a really good place for us to start instead of immediately jumping to my boss is trying to get me. They're out to sabotage my career. Really what I've seen at least, and what has happened to me, is when people get put into leadership, there isn't a lot of training on how to be a leader, let alone a great leader. I mean, just a bare minimum how to be a leader is never taught. They just, boop, they get popped in there and they hope that the employee is smart enough to kind of figure it out on their own, or that they take enough initiative to go find out on their own. So I recommend, for our own sake, if the thought is not serving us well, then let's stop that thought initially, at least, until we do a little bit better risk assessment. They just might be stupid. They might not be great managers. That is probably what it is almost always. Next, it could be that they're in a very difficult time in their life. And it's not just one or two instances that they're working with you and things aren't going well. It's going on for a time. And when a boss of ours is having difficulty in life and they bring it into work and then mistreat us or other employees, it looks like they're out to get us. Now, the nuance here, which is unique, I think, is sometimes our personalities don't mesh very well with our boss, so we don't feel the warm and fuzzy. And then they have this difficult thing going on in their life. Couple that with we have a little bit of clash in personality, and it could seem like they're out to get only us because they don't seem to be having such other weirdness with other employees. Still, that's not malice. It's, in a sense, stupidity. They're not trying to do anything against us. So that's another way to really analyze this. Maybe they have difficult things going on in their life. And then, of course, it might come to, wow, this person really just doesn't like me. When we get to that point, which it's not super abnormal for a boss and us not to really like each other. We're not supposed to always like each other. As Christians, yeah, we'd love it if we could. We'd love to love them. We'd love them to love us, but I think that's unprofessional to think. But if we get to the point where we find out it's more than just they don't like me, they really don't want to see me excel, it's important to document things. There's a saying that I use a lot. You've probably seen it on this channel, and if you're a client of mine, I've said it a million times. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. So for our own protection, start documenting incidences. Not so we can obsess over it, just so we can protect ourselves. When a boss is going to fire an employee, they start collecting data so that that employee doesn't have an actionable suit against them. And then they use that in their job to demonstrate, yeah, this employee isn't good at what they do. Same with us and our boss. If we think there's something hinky going on, let's document it as much as possible. After we've really got a clear line of documentation so that we know, yeah, the way they're behaving, it's not good, then we want to go to HR with it. There really isn't much else to do. Sure, you could just leave, but we don't want to get into the habit of just quitting when things are not great for us. Because, you know, this boss that we don't get along with and it's sabotaging us might be doing it to other people. And I do believe at some level it's our responsibility. I had a situation where I was a new director. I won't say the name of the company. And the end of the year review came around and I got a development needed. I have never gotten a development needed before or since this one. It made no sense to me. And me and the boss, we kind of clashed heads a little bit. I definitely wasn't his favorite, and he was definitely not actively trying to help me out. So I went to him and I said, hey, look, I'm not sure why you said this, but why you gave me this development needed, but man, I'm not a development needed. I can demonstrate it. And I showed him all this evidence to show that my numbers were crushing it. I couldn't compare it to other people, but at the very least, I was consistently meets expectations. And he's like, no, I'm just going to keep it. It's too late. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense to me. I got a sense that something was weird. So I went to HR, and they had a rule in the company that if I put together a good enough argument, they would discuss it with me and the boss and would overturn what he said. And they were blown away by my paper, my documentation, and they went to him and they said, listen, we're going to give you a warning here. You giving him a development needed is exposing the rest of our company to something else because it makes no sense what you did. And they reprimanded him and turned over his choice. I got to consistently meets. So HR is supposed to be there, not always to help us out, but to keep the company from exposure, from litigation. And if your boss is mistreating you, that can be grounds, especially if you're doing a great job. So in summary, I'll keep this video brief. Let's start off with Hansons Razor. Maybe they're just being stupid and it's nothing malice intended. Then consider they got other stuff going on in their life. Consider maybe our personalities just don't clash. Then if we really think there's something hinky going on, document it. Start making a paper trail for yourself. Then take it to HR. This is really the best way. If HR decides not to do anything about it, or they go right to your boss and now HR and your boss are conspiring, that might be time to leave. And if it's an actionable issue with a lawyer, it might be best to maybe go get some advice from a lawyer in your field of expertise. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think. Give me any comments below, but also if it's something I haven't covered or something you've done, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.